And recognizing the member for Cowichan Valley. I got that right?
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Chair, and thank you for the opportunity to ask this question. I think it's necessary to spend a little time giving you a preamble and a bit of a feeling for the history of the problems that I'm about to describe, and I'll kind of lump them together as they're both to do with debris on public roads and rural communities. And specifically in the little community of Yubo, and that's commonly referred to by people who live along the region of Cowichan Lake is like a 26 mile long lake just west of Duncan, the community of Duncan, just an hour drive over the Malahat here. And that community of Yubo is on the north shore. On the south shore is the little community of Honeymoon Bay and Missachi Lake. Now, at one time, I used to actually walk on the logs that are now being transported on the highway because I worked on the booming grounds, and from actually I don't go back as far as the 1940s. I started in 1970 in the mill, but we used to have logs on the lake. In fact, huge volumes of logs on the lake from the woods all the way around Cowichan Lake, right from the Honeymoon Bay. There used to be the Gordon River logging camp. There used to be Kaikus. Eventually there was Renfrew, and that morphed into Honeymoon Bay logging camp. Again, to kind of make a long story short, these communities are not unfamiliar with the forest industry. In fact, most of these communities relied almost entirely on the forest industry. So it's not like they're complaining or wanting to bite the hand that feeds them, but on the other hand, there is a responsibility by the company that's involved. Timber West in this case is the primary owner of the logs that are now transported. Now, again, it might sound like complaining to you, but I see it as going from logs that used to go in the south shore into the lake. There used to be a dryland sort right in Missachi, and the road used to go far behind the golf course, the only golf course in the region, into the dryland sort and then into the lake. Didn't create a dust problem in Honeymoon Bay or Missachi at that time. It used to be that logs on the north side of the lake, in fact, I used to go up with the tugboat and we would tow them. It was a 5-hour tow from Hawes Bay up in the west end of the lake all the way to the Yubo Mill. Well, now they're transported by a very rough logging road, and they get dust all over them. And then depending on the weather, whether it's a rainy season or the dry season, they come loaded down with mud and dust, and the first thing they do is go from the gravel road to pavement. And as soon as they hit the pavement, right by the post office in the start of the town, they start dumping mud and dust. And again, it's not that we're against the forest industry, not at all. We support the forest industry, but we have, since the huge rise in the number of logs that are being trucked out of there, a lot of it log exports, I would suggest, but some of them are logs that go to other mills in the coast of British Columbia. They normally are trucked to the Timber West dryland sort in behind the pulp mill in Crofton. There's an area where all the logs eventually end up at that sort. So I guess the issue comes down to all of this dust and debris. There's been an ongoing talk. I've had meetings myself with representatives from your ministry, who I might add I very much appreciate their role in being supportive and listening and working with us in going to meet with the company to try and get something happening. But over the years, and this has been years now, the company started off saying, well, we'll send somebody in to clear the dust off the road. Well, that didn't work because we ended up with more dust. You know, all the young women that like to hang their clothes out on their, they couldn't do that anymore when you came along on, and started grinding dust all over the place. It was getting in everybody's houses along the Yubo Road. It was wrecking their cars. People were complaining they couldn't even take their kids out for a walk, and seniors were complaining about they couldn't go for a walk on the road, and that it was not only dangerous because of logging trucks, but really dangerous because of the huge volumes of dust and then muck. We've shown the pictures to the company. They're highly aware of it. They did promise to put in a truck wash, which everybody hoped that, you know, trucks would come in 3 minutes or maybe a little bit longer, get washed down with high pressure, like there are such things available. You can drive a log truck through, blow most of the dust off, and then not drag it all the way through town. So we were really hoping that would happen. I know there's been some negotiations with some lands, and it seems to be hung up. But now I'm hearing from the area director, CVRD director, and from the community on the south side, the Honeymoon Bay side, where and Missachi, where they're also concerned now about mud and dust. And the golf course says it's affecting their business. They can't go and sit out on the deck of their restaurant, because, and I don't think the minister would want to go out there and play golf and then go out and sit on the deck on a sunny day and have a cloud of dust every time a log truck goes by. So you can imagine the problem that creates for their business. It's a real issue. So again, as I understand it, the only tools available for the ministry right now are it's supposedly against the law to dump debris on the road. Like, you're not supposed to be able to do that, right? If I had a company and I was driving chip trucks on the road, blowing chips all over the way, you'd soon be on top of me and demand tarps and all the rest of it. If I had some other kind of a truck with gravel, I noticed that they have to have cover. You know, you can't be driving down bashing everybody's car. But it seems like we've got this problem with log trucks that we need to have addressed, and it's frustrating to have the communities year after year and the CVRD directors pounding on us as MLAs to try and do something about this. So it's my hope that the minister, and I'll get to the question part now. I know I could probably go for another half an hour, but you don't want to hear that. I think I'm running out of time. Anyway, the question that I have, I guess, are twofold, but I'll start with question number one, is does the government have any ability to either create tools through regulations to say start out with a fine? I know in safety they're starting to talk about $1,000 fines. In fact, we're working on legislation on safety to do just that. Is there some other tools in your toolkit to be able to motivate the industry to actually do something? I mean, after all, this is very profitable business that they're doing, exporting logs, and surely you can get some action out of them on putting in a wash or getting something to happen in an expedited way. Like, I believe it's possible. I think you have the power, and I'm sure that you're just the man for the job, so we're looking forward to some action on this. Thank you.
Minister. I appreciate the context that the member from Cowichan Valley provided, and I certainly understand the issue. And I, first off, I just want to say, my understanding is this issue's been going on for about 10 years. I mean, that's way too long. This issue's got to be dealt with and fixed once and for all. So to that end, staff advised me that the issues relating to the land acquisition and so forth for the truck wash have actually all been resolved, and that in fact the construction of the actual implementation of this truck wash should take place in the next couple of weeks and should be operational shortly thereafter. The staff feel, and certainly in talking to the community, that the truck wash in and of itself should address the vast majority of this problem. That being said, there's two other things that we're doing. One is we're going to increase the presence of our CVSE officers. We're going to send them out there on a more frequent basis to do more inspections and you know, the goal here being to, you know, if there is an example of a piece of debris falling off the truck or lots of dust being kicked up, it's in contravention of the permit that is in place, then you know, a ticket should be issued and the fine should be assessed. So we're going to complement the truck wash piece with some heightened enforcement in the coming months, and the last piece is actually taking a look at the permit that the company has, and we're in the midst of assessing whether or not there may be opportunities for us to actually strengthen, as a matter of the content of that permit, the obligations of Timber West when it comes to debris and dust. So I'm hopeful that a combination of these three measures that we'll finally together, you know, once and for all, solve this problem for the people who live in Ubao.
Member.
Yes, thank you very much, Minister, for that answer. Through the chair to the minister, I very much appreciate the good news that Timber West will be starting. Certainly, the area director for Ubao, Claus Cahoon or Klein, K-U-H-N. I thought I'd spell his name so Hansard can get it right. I'm not exactly sure how to say Claus's last name. Will be pleased and that will deal with the problem with Ubao, and I'm also pleased to hear that you're considering alternate tools, because I think that's kind of what's been missing, or it seems frustrating to the community that they were essentially told they didn't think there was any other tool than removing the license. So it's good to hear that you're thinking about an innovative approach, and that would be welcomed, because I think we're not alone, not just in this community. I'm sure there are other communities. But my final question is, I hear the focus kind of on, has been on fixing the problem at Ubao. Now it's becoming a problem on the South Shore as well, in Honeymoon Bay and Massachi Lake. And at least I'm hopeful that ministry representatives will, I'm sure once the truck wash gets up and running in Ubao, the people on the south side are going to be immediately wanting one as well and saying, well, what's wrong with our town? So I'm hopeful that with the tools that you're talking about, you can look at this. If it is indeed working, if that truck wash solution can work in Ubao, it would be great if they could do something. I know they've got plenty of private land, and that maybe they can do something to find a way to make that happen there as well. But I would appreciate any kind of words of comfort you could give that community, that you'll be monitoring to see if that is working in Ubao, and then if it is, that you won't forget about Honeymoon Bay and Massachi. I know I won't, so I'm certain that you'll be just as concerned as one community as the next. So thank you, Minister, for your response.
Minister. Thank you, Chair. To the member, certainly we will take the best practices that are developed, hopefully in the situation of Ubao, and apply those best practices to the folks in Massachi and Honeymoon Bay. I certainly understand the conflict or the concern that would be generated otherwise, and besides, it's the right thing to do. So we'll loop back with the member as we move forward.